Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Retreat series, Dhamma talk number 40. Last Dhamma talk we were discussing about the one Dhamma, or the only way, which the Buddha coined as the one appamada, heedfulness. So in here, that's the way I understand between the two words. One is called mindfulness, sati. Another one is called heedfulness, appamada. Two different words, sati and appamada. English, mindfulness and heedfulness. So mindfulness actually comes from the discourses of the full foundation of mindfulness. Actually, it emphasizes on the methods, procedures, and practice, how to. And mindfulness is one of the 5 mental faculties that we need to develop. Pancha Indriya, 5 controlling mental faculties. And mindfulness is to be aware, to be fully aware, sharply, precisely aware at the moment. Okay? At that particular moment, if you are aware of the object that is arising, whatever that object may be, if you have full awareness of the object that is arising, you have sati, mindfulness, samasati, correct mindfulness. It arises and passes away. That is mindfulness. And also that mindfulness can be on many objects. And the Buddha grouped it into 4 groups. 4 foundation. Mindfulness of the body group, mindfulness of the feelings group, mindfulness of the mind or citta, consciousness group, and mindfulness of the Dhamma. And it is referred, pointed to as moment to moment. At this moment you have sati, next moment you may not have sati. That's mindfulness, sati. And heedfulness. Heedfulness is, again, to full awareness. Okay? Full awareness, full attention. But it doesn't simply refer only to moment to moment to moment. It pointed to across the span of time and space. Whatever is happening in every aspect, every respect, under any circumstances, one is fully and continuously aware or fully attentive of it. Not only that it is aware of the object, it is also fully aware of the causal relationship with the environment. The causal relationship with the environment. What is the effect of cause and effect connection of the object, of the moment, of the environment, anything and everything around? It covers a big spectrum. It covers everything. It covers at any situation, under any condition, across the space, across the time. That's the way I understand heedfulness. And that is the one Dhamma. One Dhamma. Or Ego Dhamma. The one Dhamma. Or the only way. The only way if you want to escape from all form of suffering is you must have heedfulness, appamada. And it is the last word the Buddha said too before he passed away. He said, appamadena sampandeta. One must live, one must have, live with not forgetting anything, not forgetting anything, not missing anything, be aware of everything at all time, at all moment. Okay. That is Ego Dhamma, the one Dhamma. So, last week we mentioned about this one Dhamma, Ego Dhamma, the heedfulness. One must have that heedfulness. In other words, at all time, fully aware, fully attentive. Not only the precision with the object, one-pointedness of the object of the moment, also the object, the environment, the surrounding, the condition, all cause a relationship. Only then you can relate with the world. Only then you can execute and live with harmony. Only then you can create peace and happiness. So that is appamada, heedfulness. Mindfulness is, it shows us how to practice precisely. If you have mindfulness, if you have heedfulness, all the 5 controlling faculties are already developed. Okay? Which is Saddha, Viriya, Sati, Samadhi, Panya. All are fully developed under the one Dhamma, which is heedfulness, appamada. So here, one must have, one must live, one must be in a state of being heedful. That is what we are. And to do that, to be able to have that kind of the highest form of heedfulness, or the most refined form of heedfulness. Okay? We have already discussed about heedfulness, the gross form, the medium form, and the refined form. We are talking here about refined form. If you are going to have refined form, the most superior form of heedfulness, one must have one mental state. What is that? Aditana. Standing firmly and strongly with determination. One must be standing firmly and strongly with determination to be heedful. Determination. And if you have that mental state, determination, with that objective, one will be accomplished. The goal will be accomplished. So we discussed detail about that determination and the one Dhamma, what we need. So of course, it is easy to say, stand firmly and strongly with determination, unwavering, no surrendering, with a resolute mind. Yeah, many people has tried many times. And especially in the West, every year, New Year, there's a resolution, what is going to accomplish, but mostly it failed. So determination is easy to say, I will, I shall, but difficult to achieve. So let's see, how can we achieve, how can we accomplish that determination? So be determined, have a resolute mind to be heedful. But how can we develop that determination? That itself is another challenge there. So when we live our day, when we are not mindful, or when we are mindful, only two, mindful or not mindful, that's how we live. But regardless whether we are mindful or not mindful, forget about that. And every day what we live we are always facing with all sort of conditions and the environment, situation. Some are good, some are bad, some are pleasant, some are unpleasant. Some are very simple, clear-cut case. Some are very complicated, not solvable. These things are always happening. So when we don't have that determination, when we lack determination, whenever we face with pleasant object or nice, good conditions, when we don't have that determination, what happens was automatically, whether in the form of speech or a deed, or even in a form of thoughts, it creates lobha, greed. Lobha, as soon as you face that, if we are not determined, but also if we face unpleasant objects, disagreeable objects, with the mind that has no determination upon heedfulness, they will create anger, dosa. And then there will be situation when you face things that you are not clear about, uncertain about. At that moment, moha, delusion or illusion arises. I can approach that in a different way, this moha. When you meet an object which is neither pleasant or unpleasant, when you meet an object which is neither pleasant or unpleasant, there's a state of delusion arises. There's no clarity about pleasant or unpleasant. We call it neutral. At that moment, there's an obscurity. At that moment, there's an uncertainty. There's a moment of vagueness arises. When you face neither pleasant nor unpleasant object, that is moha, delusion. So if you understand in a different way, you will understand what delusion is. Sometimes it is tricky. So many approaches can be done. That is how one is. But if you have aditana, strong and resolute, with mindfulness or heedfulness, at that moment, even though you faces pleasant objects, lovely objects, lobha don't arise. What does it arise? It arises alobha, non-greed. The mental state of non-greed arises when you have the resolute mind with heedfulness. The same thing when you meet the unpleasant object with the resolute mind with heedfulness. The mental state that arises is adosa. See? The first one is alobha mental state. Second one is dosa mental state. And when you meet the neutral object, moha arises. Simply become a two different clear path, east and west. One is with the resolute heedfulness, one without the weak, undetermined, non-resolute heedfulness. When you face this pleasant, unpleasant, and neutral objects, one go to the direction of lobha, dosa, and moha. In other words, kilesa. In other words, akusala. You are on the path of akusala. And when you meet these objects, pleasant, unpleasant, and neutral object with the resolute mind, alobha, adosa, and amoha arises. Okay? Non-greed, non-anger, non-delusion arises. And then what happened? You are automatically on the path of kusala, on the highway of kusala, wholesomeness. Two directions, two paths created simply through that resolute mind on heedfulness, having or not having. That is the direction it goes. So if you look at it, okay, all of us, every one of us is always being bombarded with objects. As soon as we say objects, full groups of objects, and three different kind of feeling, pleasant, unpleasant, and neutral. Whether these are, it is across the board, indiscriminately to everyone. It is bombarding and hitting all the time. But the result is different. One who is mindful and heedful, automatically good merits or kusala karma arises. And the one who has not heedful, not mindful, automatically bad karma or unwholesome karma, akusala arises. Simply just how this karma, good and bad karma arising, is simply on that one little pivot point, having or not having, mindfulness or heedfulness. And if you truly understand that, depending on which direction you want to go, you can go. There's determination or resolute mind to be heedful or to be mindful. And that is the pivot point of our life, which direction we are climbing or which direction we are rolling down. So in here, determination, titana. That's a very important point. This point is important because it takes up to the heavens, right to the point of nibbana, or it takes us down to the woeful states, right to the lower states of hell realm. It seems like you're sitting and not significant, but it is very significant. For that, we must have a resolute mind to be heedful and mindful. How can we create? Okay? How can we create? How can we mate to be? We become stronger with determination. This determination, just to interject a little different point, for those of you and most of you who already know, okay, there's a adipati, okay, dominant condition. You can call it dominant condition. All these mental states, 52 mental states, out of the 52, 4 kind of mental states are the most dominant. Okay. 4 kind of mental states are the most dominant. Dominant in a sense of whenever one of them is in charge, everything under it is under control. Nothing can move in any direction they wish, but it goes according to the direction and the will of that mental state. And what are those 4 dominant mental states? Okay. Number 1 is chanda, okay, noble desire, chanda dipati. Number 2 is viriya dipati, effort dominance. And the third one is citta dipati, consciousness, dominance of consciousness. And in here, the Buddha doesn't use the specific mental state word. He used the word consciousness because that arises with the relinking consciousness together. Relinking consciousness has a certain mental factors built in. In there, what it is, the determination, aditana. That mental state, aditana, is the main force where you can call this is the citta dipati. Okay? The dominance of the mind. The dominance of the mind is determination, aditana. And the fourth one is vimansa dipati, the wisdom. When one of these 4 become the leader, the strongest, all other things fall behind it, and they follow like a little sheep wherever this one of the power is leading and directing. So this aditana, don't underestimate it. Once you have that thing as a leader in a person, a leading mental state in a person, everything falls under it. And in here, it can even develop to the point of heedfulness, appamada. So this aditana, you must develop, life after life after life. And when you have developed this mental states of resolute mind, okay? When you say resolute mind, you can understand the citta dipati. This resolute mind arises along with the birth or relinking consciousness. And those kind of people, even when you are 6 months old or 1 year old or 2 year old, you can tell that child is totally different from most of the child. You will see some child is indomitable. Okay, their mindset is indomitable. That is citta dipati. To be able to have that person has been practicing this resolute mind, okay, the development of resolute mind for many, many lifetimes. So how do we develop? The first one the Buddha said is called, in Pali is called niyunita. Niyunita. What it is this? A person must draw a boundary or draw a limitation in the domain of minds, domain of consciousness. One must draw a limitation or a boundary in the domain of minds. In the domain of mind, what is the domain of mind? Don't have to go and look anywhere, have to go and look into a book and read it. Just simply look into yourself. Look into your own mind. How does your mind behave? Mind's going everywhere. Anywhere and everywhere, whatever you allow. Whatever you like, it is there. Whatever you don't like, it is also there. And whatever the environment is trying to get your attention, situation, condition is trying to get it is there. It is everywhere. That is the domain of mind. Limitless. Limitless domain of mind is. So as the mind is going limitless in every which way direction, whatever it is interfacing with, okay, depending on how strong you are, how not strong you are, how weak you are, how mindful you are, how not mindful you are. These akusala and kusala, wholesome karma and unwholesome karmas are arising, creating, and then it is also developing and mapping the characteristic of a person, personality of a person. That's what's happening. How the domain of the mind is creating these new personalities and new characteristics. These new good karma and these new bad karma. But we can, if we want, we can draw a boundary, we can draw a limit so that this consciousness would not roam such a great, infinite field, uncontrolled, undisciplined. So first of all, you draw. I am going to limit my mind. I'm going to stay in the domain where most of the kusala can arise, most of the good karma can arise. That's the first determination or the first decision you make. Okay? Decision you make is, I'm not going to let my mind roam anywhere and everywhere. I'm going to draw a boundary, a limit, and try its domain to be smaller. See the cow, we go in the pastures, the cattle, the whole cattle. Okay, the owners, they have their own domain, a certain domain, they cannot go pass over. If you got passed over a certain, they go there, maybe there might be wolves, there might be bears killing them, or there might be other people shooting them because you're transferring their pasture. But if you live in your domain, that cattle, a herd of cattle is safe. The same thing, your consciousness should keep it within a certain domain so that it is safe, secure in the prosperity of kusala karma, wholesome karma. That's how it is. You put a limit. So you can just put it and we can know in general. But if not, okay, this is my suggestion. Let's say you make a conscious effort programming your life. I'm going to do generosity, okay, an act of giving, an act of charity. Just make yourself, depending on what you are. It doesn't matter whether it is 25 cents or $2,500. It doesn't matter whether you can give 5 minutes of service or 5 days of service, volunteer work. Doesn't matter. Now, with your condition, with your life, you say, I am going to do an act of charity 5 times a month. You just put yourself onto a program 5 times a month and do for sure 5 times a month. In other words, you are limiting the domain of your consciousness by putting yourself onto a program, and when you are doing and acting that act of generosity for 5 times, you are for sure, you know that you are in the domain of wholesomeness, conscious wholesomeness. The same thing, I'm going to observe 5 precepts. Some people cannot observe 5. They might have only 2 or 3. But let's say every month I'm going to take 5 days unbroken 5 precepts. Or another person is, no, I'm going to have 4 times a month, I will live with 8 precepts or 9 precepts. Program. Nobody is putting that rule upon you. Nobody is putting that discipline upon you. You are applying onto yourself based on your capacity, based on your lifestyle. The same thing with meditation. Generosity, dana, morality, sila, and bhavana, whether it is samatha or vipassana, doesn't matter. Or full vibration of mindfulness or buddhanusati, doesn't matter. You set a program. I am going to practice meditation every day or 15 days, every other day of a month, 1 hour. Put yourself on a program. That is called putting limitation, putting boundary to the field of consciousness so that it can be in the domain of wholesomeness. You must do that. By doing so, what you are doing is you are increasing the power of that aditana, the resolute mind. The more and the more you put discipline, or the more and more you put wholesome programs in yourself, within your capacity, and always pushing the limit, always pushing the limit. Just by doing that, you are developing a resolute mind. That's one of the things that's Buddha's teaching. This is my presentation, of course. It's not in the scripture. In scripture, it is called Patisankha Bala and Bhavana Bala. Patisankha Bala is reflective. Okay? Reflective power. You always have to reflect. In other words, think. Whenever you are doing, this is good, this is bad, this is wholesome, this is not wholesome, this will get me into trouble, this won't get me into trouble, this will help people. Whatever you are doing, apply that reflective power all the time as much as you could in your daily life. Don't do it just simply because there is. You do it after the reflection, what the consequences could be, what the results could be. That reflective power, you apply that reflective power in your daily life. By applying that reflective power in all your actions, you are developing that resolute mind. Okay, that is how in the scripture I put. But I simply gave you previously a program. Okay, because in the West, these kind of programs works. They like that way. It's the same thing. It's the same thing. In other words, you reflect it, and after the reflection, you look at your lifestyle, and you pull down certain things and put it into a program and plant it. So you don't have to be thinking moment to moment to moment. You just have a program, just like a computer. Once you program, and when the time comes, it pops up, the cursor comes up, the bell rings, the sound comes, just like that. That's a reflective power. And another one was Bhavana Bala. That one is, we don't need to explain too much in detail. What it is, we all know. Simply put, seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching. That's it. All the 5 physical senses. Be aware, be aware, be aware, be aware, and also thinking. In other words, if you are aware of those 6 senses at the sense door, that means you are developing the Bhavana Bala, which means mental culture, mental development. That also increases the power of your resolute mind. So this is how to do it. How are you going to develop your determination or resolute mind to be stronger and stronger? This is one of the technique the Buddha gave us. Another way of thinking is through a little bit understanding. Look at it. You must have in yourself, or you must have some friends. They just love to think. Or they will even say, oh, I'm very creative, I'm an artist. They have a great imagination. They live in the land of imagination. They live in the land of fantasies. Just let the mind roam as far as the fantasy can go, as far as your imagination can go, as far as your creativity can go. They let loose of the mind. In other words, they let the thoughts go wild, limitless. And think, if you let it go that way, where is it going to take it up? There's only one destination, akusala karma, the realms of akusala karma, imagination, fantasy, wandering thoughts. If you adopt it, that's where it goes. So, you know, thoughts in general are totally unproductive. Thoughts in general are unproductive, and not only that, it could even become destructive. If you truly understand that, consequences, cause and effect, you will not use that unproductive phenomenon or process, letting the imagination and fantasy go wild. That's one way of curving the domain of, apart from the other, one of 5 physical senses, this one is the 6th sense. The 6th sense at the mind door. And if you truly understand it, how unproductive and useless these wild thoughts and imaginations are, you would not. Through understanding, you might carve yourself. This is how one can draw limitation and boundary in the domain of your minds. By doing so, your power and determination will grow stronger and stronger. In Pali, it is called niyunita. And the second one, the Buddha gave us more, not only one technique, is called apusita. Apusita. Apusita is, I loosely use that one quite often. Okay, in everything and anything, whatever is happening, things are always happening to us. Always look from the bright side. I just use that word, okay, from a song or something. Always look from the bright side. Or Monty Python or something, some show. Always look from the bright side. So when you use those words, the Westerner will have more effect and their understanding become quite sharp. Okay. You look, whatever it is, things are always happening to you. The good thing, the bad thing. Okay, so things, neither good nor bad. But when you are going to let them, you always try to look from the sincerity, right? Look from the bright side is you don't spin and you don't try to make it a false statement. You don't try to lie. You don't try to twist and turn. The truth must be there. The facts must be there. Even though you are looking from the bright side, it is based on the facts. And also you must be sincere. Sincere means you are not spinning. You are not twisting. You are not trying to color it up. Okay? Must be based on facts. And also you must always with sincerity and also straightforward. Straightforward. The only thing is you look whatever happening as it is, as fact. The only difference is you don't emphasize on the negative outcome, which you cannot do anything about. You don't dwell your mind on the negative outcome. But instead, you focus on the positive, the bright light, the bright side. Simple fact, okay? We go to hospital and then for some reason they cut out a piece of your part of the body to check out, to test whether it's cancerous or not cancerous. You have to wait for 2 weeks. And that 2 weeks, your mind's spinning. Okay, do I have a cancer? Do I have a cancer? Oh, it looks like that. Oh, there's a big bump. Oh, there's black. And so on and so on and so on and so on. For 2 weeks, you can, and you will, some of them totally consume with that negative thoughts. You dwell. It's still the fact it dwells on. And if you dwells on it, you will be more stressed out, you'll be more tired, and in fact, because of the stress and tiredness, your immune system dropped, and illness can arise, sickness can take over. Another thing is, it's taken up. Number one is, there's always 50-50. The result could be, yes, it is cancerous. Oh no, it is benign. There's the answer, 50-50. It can go either way, you don't know. For 2 weeks you have no idea till the results come out. If that's the case, what's the point of dwelling on this negative state? No, I'll be okay. Just move on with your life. Or you can even look at some facts. Analyze yourself for the last 1 month, how you are, what you are, how much you are moving around, whether you are playing tennis, or whether you are going for a long walk, or whether you are going partying and dancing. Oh, I'm still doing all my activities. Seems like my body is pretty fit and good. The chances are better that it will be benign. So if you look at it that way, in that 2 weeks, you will not be under stress. Not only that, you'll be light, bodily light, mentally light, and then you'll be engaging other things rather than being called down and depressed. That is what it means by look from the bright side. The facts remain the facts. You don't twist and turn, but you always look towards the positive outcome. Focus, stress on the positive outcome rather than the negative outcome. That's the way to live. And if you live that way, 2 weeks come, the answer will come. It's one or the other. If it is negative, then you face it and do what needs to be done. If it is positive, move on. You save yourself 2 weeks of extreme stress. That's what it means by apujita. Apujita. And if you do that way, if you train yourself that way, if you live that way in most cases of your life, your mind will become stronger and stronger. Your determination will become stronger. Your resolute mind will become more and more powerful. That's a second technique the Buddha taught us. How to make your mind stronger. That's another one. It's called parinamita. It's I think the Pali words. Yeah, parinamita. That is another technique the Buddha gave us how to build a resolute mind. Paridamita is, again, it always comes back to life. Everything is coming to your life, whatever it is, what the life gives you, what your environment gives you, what the conditions give you, what the past karma gives you. They are all coming and taking place, happening. And whenever it is happening, there are two things. Well, there are one good things and one there are bad things. There are good thoughts and there's another one is the bad thoughts. So whenever something happens, if you are thinking about especially negative things, okay, especially negative things, it comes to our mind repeatedly again and again and again and again. And especially when you meditate, quiet down, something that bugs you in the last 1 week, that thoughts repeatedly come again and again and again. Negative events and force have a stronger energy than the positive. They are strong but short-lived if you know how to. So regardless, the point is there will be a lot of negative thoughts will be coming, bombarding at you. And when these negative thoughts or unpleasant thoughts or negative feelings, vedana, negative feelings come in, what it is this second word, parinamita. Parinamita is redirect the mind. Okay, negative things come in. No, you don't live in that, you don't dwell on that. This is not on a meditation basis. You forcefully change and redirect the mind. You forceful. This is bad, this is not good, this is bothering me. I'm not going to. You forcefully, with sheer will, turn and direct the mind to the other object. So that is more of a samatha technique, sheer willpower. Something come in, no, I'm not going to. Something come in, no, I'm not going to direct. Redirecting the mind from the negative to the positive. Purposely, forcefully, with sheer will, redirecting the mind. Okay, let's say even in the samatha meditation, vipassana meditation, I'll put up a case scenario there. There's a practicing and the pains come in. Pains come, pains come, pains come. And you try all the technique just being taught to you. Okay. We won't go to it. There are 11 different techniques on ways the Buddha tell us how to overcome this unpleasant, painful sensation. But say it just keep on coming and finally you simply just couldn't take it. You simply just couldn't take it. So what do? You get up and go for a walk. That is redirecting the mind. Before, your mind is on the pain. But after you have tried everything else and still you don't want to go to bed and surrender, you get up and go for a walk. That's redirecting the mind in a very simple scenario. Parinamita. Always redirect the mind from the negative to the positive. Don't dwell into the negative. Just change the subject to the positive subject and stay with the positive subject. By doing so, your mind will become stronger and stronger and stronger. And the third one is called Dhamma Charita. Dhamma Charita. The Muda Charita is another technique. What it is in a society we call it, oh, this guy is very cultured, oh, this guy is barbarous, rude, harsh. We use the word cultured, very cultured. Especially in the British, culture is very important. This guy is full of culture. What is culture? Forget about the big explanation about it. What is culture is a cultured person is expressed through the manners. Okay. And manners is only two things that you can detect and observe. Verbal and physical. Verbally. So your speech must be polite, gentle, compassionate, loving. Okay? Polite, gentle. And also your physical activities must be very gentle, polite, graceful, slow, not quick and abrupt. In other words, you are reconditioning how you talk and how you physically act. Reconditioning it. You talk it gently, slowly, politely, with sweet, kind, compassionate words. You move gracefully, not abruptly, not banging, not loud noise, as if you are sliding, gliding in the air. Some people, they just move that way. That's it. In other words, you're training and you're training and you're training how to speak and how you act, how to speak and how to act, to be more and more simplistic, to be gentle and polite, to be gentle and polite, to be gentle and polite. That is cultured. You go to the point of not only that you are speaking and you are doing, it sink and transcend into the thoughts. You start from the physical action and then to the verbal action. This physical and verbal actions repeated so much, eventually it began to train the thought. The mind itself become gentle and soft and kind and compassionate. That's a way you must be repeatedly doing, behaving, so that you become cultured, so that you are cultured in terms of physical, verbal, even to the point of thoughts. And when you become really, really cultured, there's a measurement. We are not left in the blind, arm waving. There's a point. There's a two mental state called hiri and uttapa. Hiri, you have a shame, feeling ashamed to do bad, unwholesome thing. To do bad and unwholesome thing, you automatically feel shame. Nobody has to shame you. You feel that it's a shameful thing to do. In your heart, uttapa, you are really scared and afraid of the consequences that will arise out of unwholesome actions or unwholesome deeds. Shame and dread towards unwholesomeness. That mental state automatically arises in you. And when that hiri and uttapa is in your heart, in your mind, you know you become one of the most cultured person in the world. That is cultured. So there are 4 techniques. Niyunita. Okay, niyunita, putting limitation and domain, drawing boundary in your domain of consciousness. Parinamita, redirecting the mind from negativity to positivity. Tabuta charita. Charita is a practice to the point of head. The Muda Charita is you act mentally, verbally, physically, polite, kind, gentle, loving, and compassionate, to the point of hiri and ottappa, shame and dread to do unwholesome thing arises in your heart all the time. And the fourth one is apuchita. Apuchita is always be sincere, straightforward, no twisting, no turning. It has to be beneficial. It has to be productive. And only then you act. So in other words, it must be suitable, it must be appropriate, it must be beneficial, it must be true, you must behave sincerely and honestly. And if you practice those four repeatedly again and again and again, even in this life, your mind will become strong and firm. Even in this life, your resolute mind become more and more powerful. And if you carry on, you will be reborn with Chitta Dipati, very strong and firm mind. It comes with you from the moment of the relinking consciousness. So may all of you be able to practice this aditana with the four techniques that's been taught to us by the Buddha, and may you be able to develop this resolute mind so that we can be heedful at all times and bring peace, happiness, and harmony to the world. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Buddham bhajami. Dhammam bhajami. Sangham bhajami. Thank you very much.